Hello, and welcome to Women in Business, where we interview entrepreneurs and senior managers and show you the strengths, successes, obstacles, and roadblocks women experience in business. Since I believe every person in business needs to be visible, I'd like to invite you to watch www.sob6, that's the number 6, tips.com, which will give you some valuable information should you get the call to be on radio or TV, which I think is extremely important. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at Gayle Carson, that's Gayle, Gayle Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter.
Hello, everyone. This is Gayle Carson, and I have a fabulous guest today, and she is Kitti McKay. She's worked all across Canada helping people declutter, organize, and stage their homes for resale. In the past year, she's narrowed her focus to helping small business owners declutter and organize their space so they can 3 times their productivity and ultimately their bottom line. Her specialty is virtual decluttering, which provides a less intrusive, more intensive approach to conquering chaos once and for all. Welcome, Kitti.
Thank you, Gayle.
And I could probably use you here. I'm going to be moving and I have boxes everywhere. And I am doing a very poor job of this, but I don't think you could do this virtually because I have to go through papers and really decide what I'm keeping. And then I've got to digitize everything. And it is a job. But I know you are welcomed into homes because they need someone like you. So let me ask the first question. What made you turn your focus from real estate, which is what you were doing, real estate staging, to helping small business owners? Because it sounds like a bit of a leap.
Well, Gayle, it really started with joining Suzanne Evans's Driven Business School last spring. Even though my in-person decluttering business was going well, I couldn't help but feel that I could help people in a broader way, but I just didn't know what that way was. So at one of our retreats, Suzanne, in her inimitable way, asked why I wasn't doing virtual decluttering, which I'd never heard of. So I started reaching out to my classmates, all of whom are either established or budding entrepreneurs, to see if I could help them declutter an area. And 90% of them chose their office. And
Well, that's true. If you saw my office, you'd say, yes, it needs to be decluttered. Absolutely.
Well, as we worked together, they reported that they were feeling more productive. And I went, there's something to this.
Well, that's fabulous. So what do you think, or I should say, how much time and money, is wasted by not having an organized system? I know that you've probably tried to quantify that in many of the cases because you said that you've seen them 3 times their productivity and their bottom line. So how have you found that to be?
Oh, goodness me. I found some statistics that were staggering. Did you know the average North American spends 1 year of their life searching for and replacing things? What could you do with an extra 8,760 hours?
That's true. That's so true. I have to tell you that I'm really, for the state that I'm in a really good state. I am good at productivity and I'm good at finding things and I am good at doing a lot of the other, areas, and I'm very disciplined. So that's one of the reasons I can get a lot done. But I do like clutter. My husband used to kid me and say that, he once put a clothes rack in the living room until he could figure out what he wanted to do with it, and by the time he came back to it, it had stuff all over it. So it's kind of like that with everything, and I just think it's amazing that I do get done what I do get done. So, I would think that many people that you're working with, and I would especially think those that you are doing virtually, are really, really overwhelmed because they don't know where to start. So what do you do with them?
Well, feeling overwhelmed is a huge part of the clutter miasma. And the irony is that it feeds on itself. by people just avoiding the situation rather than tackling it, and it inevitably leads to bigger piles. So when I work with clients facing this problem, I use my proprietary one system. We start in one area at a time, focus on one thing at a time. And the idea is to not look at the big picture. They always tell us, look at the big picture. Don't. Recipe for disaster. Celebrate the small victories accomplished, and then that gives you the momentum to move forward and keep going rather than press the tomorrow button and go for lunch.
Wow. Yeah, I do that when because I've had to do this because my son said, Mom, you can't bring all this stuff with you where you're going. So I know I have to do certain things, and I have started, in sections, but I just don't seem to be getting very far. I take out bags and bags and bags of stuff. In fact, I took out a bag load of stuff this morning, and it's still, just piles everywhere. But I always say there's nothing that grows so fast without food and water as paper. So, you know, so how does this affect someone who's a small business owner? Because that's primarily who you're working with. How does it affect them in their daily lives?
As you and your listeners are only too well aware, the economy is 80% based on small business, which makes it even more important to have streamlined systems in place to provide optimum service and be competitive, right? For example, if you're trying to find a client's information 10 minutes before a call, you're going to be stressed out and not provide good value. You may even lose that client. I've seen that happen. Or at best, not get a renewal because they have no confidence in you. Even in today's automated age, these scheduling calendars, missed appointments occur all too frequently because they're not noted on a calendar and your phone. And I'm a big fan of color coding on your paper calendar, by the way. An organized system will not only improve your productivity, but inspire your clients' confidence in how well you can help them by seeing how you're keeping it together. We've all walked into a store or talked to a service provider on the phone and wonder how they stay in business because they're so frazzled. It's just, you're just amazed.
Well, I would say so. I mean, I can see how a lot of people would just not, they would walk into a room and they would just be overwhelmed, and I can see, especially with an entrepreneur, that because many people are now working out of their homes, so they have they have a specific room or area for their business, or maybe they've just taken a smidgen of a space somewhere and things are just growing up around them, which is a whole different issue.
Yeah.
So what do you do? I mean, people who think they're organized, like I think I'm organized, but I do have clutter. So what's your take on that? I'm almost afraid to ask.
Uh, what's my take on?
On knowing that I'm organized, but I've got clutter.
Uh, if you have organized piles of paper, like maybe only 2 or 3 sheets, say for example, the clients that you're going to be dealing with that day, that's acceptable. The grim reality is that there will be things on that desk that you don't need, and you just have to go through it. On a discovery call recently, the client insisted that everything on her desk was necessary. 20 minutes later, she had a grocery bag full of outdated flyers and magazines. So sometimes you can feel that you're organized, but and like you function very, very well with what you're doing. 90% of the population is not like that.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've ever had just 2 or 3 pieces of paper on my desk. I don't think that's ever happened in an entire time. In fact, I remember when Andy Rooney was signing off on 60 Minutes, and there was a whole segment of him in his office, and his desk was an absolute chaotic mess. I have to say, even worse than mine. And yet he functioned. He functioned, and he was very successful in his
Yes.
broadcasting career. So that's interesting. But okay, so let's find out. Is there a best method to make order out of chaos?
Again, I've found that the one system works best. That is, choose one room. In other words, don't start your office, we'll say, and then go, oh, well, really, I should be doing, I'll do a little bit in the office and then I'll do a little bit in the garage. Just start with the one room because you'll just have maximum, again, productivity. And then focus on one part of the floor. I like to clear the floor first to get some psychic energy moving. Woo-woo. Deal with one item at a time, whether you're putting it in a trash bag or on a pile to be dealt with, and then keep moving in a circle around the room. And the key is to laser focus on that particular task, whatever you have in your hand, because it's all too easy, Gayle, for our monkey minds to jump from one area to the other and ultimately accomplish very little, which of course leads to frustration and hopelessness, overwhelm, all of that.
Well, I can see, what you're saying in terms of staying in one area and then going on to another. I mean, that certainly makes sense. It just seems to me that when you do this virtually, Kitty, do you do this over Zoom? Do you do it over a phone? How do you do it virtually?
Well, thanks to the marvels of technology, which is great when it works, and the internet, the client and I meet on, as you say, either Zoom or sometimes Facebook Messenger, whatever, as long as it's on a portable device like a laptop or a tablet or even a smartphone. And you prop me up in the corner and we work together with hour-long sessions. They're only an hour long because it avoids decision fatigue, which is a huge part of decluttering. And the idea is just to make sure that they do not stop until that particular area or pile of paper or what have you is done. And then they reward themselves at the end.
Yeah, take yourself out to dinner or lunch, right?
You bet, you bet.
So, when you work with someone, uh, how long does it usually take for them to get decluttered? Because I would assume that if they're cluttered in an office, they may be cluttered in other parts of the home as well.
Uh, Well, let's, in keeping with the office theme, which is where my brain is right now, again, the one thing, generally 3 sessions will do it for an office. It has gone as long as 6. You're absolutely, depending on how long it's been since how long the mess has been building up. And I like to make sure that they implement a system so that it never goes back to the way it was again, because there's no point in decluttering and just doing it over and over again. When it comes, if they want to move further, then sometimes the kitchen will take usually at least 3 hours. Bathrooms don't really need to be decluttered, unless it's underneath a sink, but usually at least 3 hours for momentum and progress to occur and for the client to really feel good that, yeah, we're really getting something done.
Wow, I also can see where all of these things are really dependent on the person. I don't cook, so I don't have a lot of things in my kitchen except things like, cat food and bread and things like that. I don't have a lot of utensil kinds of things because I don't my son always kids me. He says, "Mom, you use one plate, one fork, one knife, one spoon, one glass," because
Yeah.
I never use a dishwasher because I only have these one things that I use. It's only me. So it's really, really interesting. So, of course, what everybody wants to know is how does your system increase productivity 3 times? I mean, that's a lot.
It is, but I've used myself and a couple of clients as examples. Once you're decluttered, it's a lot of what's in your head as well as physical. Because once you're decluttered, number one, and decluttered and organized, you can see exactly what you need to do. It improves your focus, which in turn improves your mindset and your confidence. And you walk into, again, the office, and you go, I got this. It's like night and day how you feel about how you're going to perform, and that really comes across to your client, and it just all works better. It's in the head. I can't explain it very well, but it really does. It can't help but make your day go more smoothly, and you just end up getting more done because you know what you're doing.
Well, I have to say that every time I have moved into a new office, which has been maybe 5 or 6 or 7 times, I
Yeah.
do start off with a very clean desk. It looks like, I am queen of good housekeeping. And boy, within a week, it's a disaster. And I know what I have to do. I know that when paper comes into my life, I have to either file it somewhere, or I have to dispose of it. I have to get rid of it because it's no longer important, or I have to delegate the task to someone else.
Yes.
So I know what has to be done, but boy, I don't know if I'll ever be paperless. I mean, I just don't know. And there's just, they said with all the technology, we would be using paper less. And I find that I'm using paper more because I print things out. I don't like to read online. I mean, I do read, small things, but when people send like ebooks or they send, 18, 20-page documents, I want to read those in hand.
Yeah.
I don't want to read them online. So it's really something I have to come to terms with myself. So you do mostly offices, but what's your second request that you get?
Garages.
See, I don't even have a garage, so that's good. So that's one place that won't be cluttered. So garages, it's interesting. Now, do both men and women use your services, or do you find more women using your services? And that leads me to, are they keeping their garages a mess, or is it their spouse?
Are we speaking specifically about garages now, or
Yeah,
just?
garages.
Yeah, okay. 90% of my discovery calls with men are about their garage because they've gotten it. It's just gotten out of control over a couple of years. I've had one woman request a garage because it's also partly her creative space, which is kind of funny if it gets cold in Nova Scotia. But
That is. I remember in San Diego, I was taking my dog for a walk, and there was a gal in fact, I interviewed her on the show, and she painted surfboards, and she did her painting in the garage of this apartment building she was in. And that's how I discovered her, because I was so curious what she was doing when I was walking the dog that I crossed the street and said, "What are you doing?" And when she told me, I thought, oh my, this would make a great show. So so do men call you for offices also, or their main thing is the garage?
Definitely men do request offices because men can be more. It can be more organized in the office than women, but it's not really gender specific. Clutter, I have found, is not gender specific. They like the garages done, but really very few of my male clients have gotten their offices done. I have a couple pending this week to talk about it, but where they say it's gotten into a pile and I don't know what to do. The answer to your question is it completely gender specific? No, but it kind of crosses the line. one way or
You know,
the
it's
other.
interesting because I can see where men would consider their garage their office. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
yeah, it's where they spend when they're home. That's where they spend their time. It's in the garage. Whereas a woman, if she is having a home-based business, she is in the office the majority of the time. So I know that one of the things that you're going to be offering to our listeners is a complimentary 45-minute session um, to
Yes.
address whatever area is driving them nuts, which may be a couple, you know, but I think that's fabulous. So we'll reiterate that in a little bit. But you also have a downloadable 7 steps to conquer clutter from your website. Is that right?
That's right, Gail. It's a very easy. It's formatted to be an easy way to again focus on one thing and just keep at it, and just to take away the overwhelm of what can be a serious task. And then if they've used the cheat sheet and they still feel that they could use an extra pair of eyes to see if they're on the right track, then that's where I come in.
So your website is cluttersolutionsbykitty.com. Is that correct?
That's right, and then that's Kitty with an I.
Yeah, Clutter Solutions by Kitty, KITTI.com. So, folks, if you are interested in getting that piece on, how to conquer clutter, which I'm sure some of you listening do have this problem, go to her website and get the downloadable 7 loads to conquer clutter. And then, if you're interested in having a session with her, try a 45 minute. That's very generous. A 45-minute session to address the area that's driving you crazy. And if it is the office, I know it's going to take more than the 45 minutes. And it could be the living room or the dining room, or as you said, the kitchen, or maybe even the bedroom. Bedrooms have a tendency to get a little clunky as well, I think. So
Oh, yes.
I would probably put it at, well, for me, it would be office number 1. And I would say, well, because I've got all these boxes from when I took them out of my storage unit so I could go through them. And I can tell you, Kitty, I've gone through them and gone through them and gone through them and thrown away, and there's still boxes everywhere. So I have a lot of work to do, you know. It's amazing. But I will tell you, I did use someone to help me move when I sold my home, and I moved into this condo, and then I had another home in Palm Springs where we sent the majority of things. I had someone help me with that who was an organizer, and boy, I'll tell you, I don't think I ever would have gotten it done without her. So someone like you is so important, and I want to stress to the listeners, if you can take advantage of Kitty, and that's Kitti McKay, please do so, because some people need help, and you're just not going to get it done without her. So go to her website, which is Clutter Solutions by Kitty, KITTI.com, for her downloadable 7 Steps to Conquer Clutter. And how would they go about applying for this 45-minute session, Kitty?
Well, they can either send me an email at Kitty at cluttersolutionsbykitty.com, pretty easy, or they can even phone or text 902-817-9341. I am in Canada, so you want to be mindful of the long distance charge. So that's why I suggest a text. I respond instantly, or you could even reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. That's another way. Kitti McKay, KITTIMCKAY, as you said. Those would probably, I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, folks, so you have a variety of ways to get a hold of Kitty. You can email her at Kitty, KITTI, at cluttersolutionsbykitty.com, or you can go to Facebook. She's got a page there, Kitti McKay, and you said McKay, but spelled McKay, right? but you pronounce it
Yes.
McKay.
My grandfather does.
Ah, okay, okay. I know sometimes it didn't even occur to me it would be something other than McKay.
That's
So
okay.
it's KittimCkay if you're looking for her. We have about a minute left, Kitty. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you think is important for our audience to know?
Oh, well, I didn't get to tell you about a couple of financial statistics for about relating around clutter. Uh, 15 to 20% of our annual income is drained by disorganized finances, like not paying your bills on time, library charges, misplaced gift cards. I thought that was just amazing. An average library charges $182,000 in overdue fines each year.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Just amazing. Well, folks, go look for those gift cards. Go look for your library books. Go look for all the things that could be hitting you financially. And if you have a problem with organizing, be sure you get in touch with Kitti McKay or McKay as you see it. Thanks so much for being with us, Kitty. We really enjoyed this, and I know that our listeners really benefited from it.
Thank you very much for having me, Gail. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Women in Business. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you have any suggestions as to who you'd like me to have as a guest, just email me at gailcarson13@gmail.com. Be sure to check out www.sob6tips.com. And in the meantime, go to www.spunkyoldbroad.com to see the resources I have for you.